Hi, are you going to family court with a narcissist or are you co parenting with a narcissistic ex? Welcome to my work. I'm author and survivor, Grace Rolson. This is my story. I offer my wisdom in 7 books for moms going through this. And this is one of my basics strategy. It's a 3-part strategy. I have another 3-part strategy for family court specifically. I have a 3D approach. I try to keep these principles that I use and apply to myself that I created to get me through it. So my story is, my background is I fought in family court for 12 years over our only child with my ex, who is a narcissist. And I won some protections in family court for many years, including supervised visitation, supervised transfers, child support, and more. And then I lost some in family court when he acquired a narcissistic bulldog attorney. And then I lost my legal rights and had to get another attorney to use many different legal strategies to chip away at it. It was a war that I was in. It was a custody battle. There were paper bullets flying with multiple motions, and there's just, a little girl caught in those crossfires. So I ended up using Skillful-Means. That's what I call it. It's a strategy, and I learned to change my image to the court and to the narcissist. So I'm the one that had to change. And I learned to accept some unfairness, and that way I was able to stage a comeback, which you'll read in my first book. I was able to step back and see what I was doing that was causing the conflict to continue. I look back to see, is there another way? And that's what I was begging and praying for, was another way. I call it the third middle way. And I ended up negotiating successfully with a narcissist through attorneys, and getting cooperative, peaceful co-parenting with child support and all my rights back, and the majority of the time. So I want this for all the moms who are stuck in this situation or feeling trapped in a high conflict family court war where the lawyers draw hard lines. It's my story is my story. It may not all work for you. It may not apply. I'm not a lawyer, or that's my disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional of the court. I say I'm a narcissist recovery abuse expert. I've studied narcissists. I know how to deal with them. I have a book called Tame the Narcissist. And really, it is about creating acceptance in ourselves of who and what we're dealing with, and not trying to treat them as we would treat normal people. So there's some layers and levels to this. There's healing that has to happen. So welcome to my work. I want to give you my 3S strategy, a basic, simple strategy for surviving co-parenting with a narcissist, because you probably have seen they're not cooperative. They can be oppositional. They're disordered. It's disorganized. Can be just awful. It's not the way many of us moms wanted to be a mom or wanted to parent our children. And there's a lot to deal with. So I have a simple 3S strategy, and I just want to share that with you today. So stay for all of them. I'll just tell you quickly, if you haven't seen my work, I'm here to educate, encourage, empower the safe, loving mom. Learn all you can. Knowledge is power. I was loving an alcoholic for 15 years. And when I left, I thought I could protect our child in family court. We weren't married. I went on to write 7 books for moms. I say read them 1 through 7, because as I learned and gathered the wisdom and the tips and the tools and the strategies, I wrote them down. One of them, this How to Survive a Custody Battle with a Narcissist, has a whole list of the tactics of a narcissist. And if you can learn to label it and name the game, you can potentially have that tactic lose some of its power, especially if you're documenting strategically, which is in one of my books. The newest is We Thrived in Narcissists. Believe you can too. Today we have a healthy, happy, thriving, excelling child, high honors, all the activities she wants, top awards, 10-year awards for dance. things, she's had her same therapist, her phone is back. She's no longer being held completely hostage on his time with her rights stripped from her. I learned to change and not be the target of blame to the narcissist, which I talk about how to position yourself for negotiations. Because things we do can cause more court conflict when we are pushing for justice or asserting our rights. I mean, there might be a time for that. Each case is different. So this is the simple 3S strategy. And it's about stepping back, because when you step back, you get power. So the first one is support. I needed emotional encouragement. I couldn't just get this from my mother, my father, my best friend. They were actually drained and they couldn't see what was happening. I was getting emotionally destabilized by what I perceived as child abuse and neglect when he had our child. I was feeling attacked in family court. There were lies being told about me. There was character assassinations and calling me names and mother blaming. That was all very upsetting and destabilizing. So getting the right support by experts in narcissism or family court and narcissisms can be very validating. And our energy is zapped when we are emotional. So getting support for the emotional side of things, I had a DV counselor, I had a therapist, and then I had custody coaches, I call them, but they were just experts in narcissists. And I had those people to help me be strategic because I was going through this. It was emotional, but I needed someone to handle my emotions and then someone to help me strategize. So getting the right supports. I also needed a good attorney. I have a new Get a Good Attorney guide, why it's helpful, how it helps you get to negotiations, because that power in the backing of having representation is a great pillar of support where you could get an attorney. So check out my Get a Good Attorney guide, which has a 20-question attorney interview worksheet. Number 2 is Sanity. Where did I get this? I had a program of recovery or 2 or 3. I had to hold my sanity as my power in the midst of the narcissist's insanity. He was crazy and there were crazy making experiences. And I had to hold my sanity and just remember who he was. I also had to not be a crazy codependent, a micromanaging mom, a overly worried, overly anxious hover mother. Whatever they pegged me as, I needed to have my sanity and stability as a mom. And that came through free recovery programs. I did some in the 12 steps, like CODA Anonymous, Codependence Anonymous, Al Anon, in my case, which is Friends and Family of Alcoholics. These are free by phone, by Zoom, virtual, in person. You might donate $1 to a meeting, but this is where I found a foundation to hold my sanity while there was alcoholism going on, child abuse going on, child neglect going on. I had sponsors in the program to help me deal with all those emotional aspects. And these programs had principles like don't make a mountain out of a molehill. They had sayings, how important is it, or easy does it, or one day at a time. And going through this family court ups and downs, backs and forths, I needed to do things one day at a time. And this gave me power and some serenity. I was able to sleep at night knowing I was doing all that I can, working on my own healing and being in a healing journey and a program with those 12 steps. So, not saying that's the only place to get your sanity. There may be other places that you can go. I did have a church community that was non-denominational that I attended, a women's wisdom circle, and some nonviolent communication classes. So that's where I developed a lot of my strategies. And then number 3 is to reduce your stress using strategies. So He's sending you multiple messages, accusing you of things or lying. You're simply got your documentation strategy. And like my sponsor said, thank him for giving you the evidence you need and the leverage you need for later. So having leverage for later, having a documentation strategy, like the 5 important things that your lawyer says matters to the judge and would matter to your case, always having that list backing up. Another strategy is the customer service strategy, which is just being nice to the narcissist. A very hard pill to swallow, but just like you would call and get exceptional customer service by phone by a very reputable company, and the person is kind, compassionate, wants to help you, that's how I approached the narcissist and changed the game. I didn't just do it out of the blue, though. I did give them a heads up of, hey, I thought about it and I really think we ought to get along. And I had to change on the inside before implementing that customer service strategy. There are other strategies. The 3D strategy I teach about, which is discuss, which is part of the venting that needs to happen, discuss and document, and then detach. I have a 3-part strategy, which is not just the defense in family court, but an offense and being a great mom. Like, we forget that part of our work, instead of just battling the narcissist, is being a great mom. And one of the things I help moms do is find the best interest factors of the child for your state, and you live to those, because that's what the judge is going on, unless there's bias and pet peeves and things about your judge, which is number one why I say get a good attorney. There's so much you don't know. It's not a straight line to a judge. It zigzags. There can be lies told about you, and then you're knocked onto the defense, painted in a bad light. There's so much that can happen in family court where evidence you get gets dismissed. You could have a narcissist on video, and the video not be able to be submitted. So there's a lot we don't know, which is why a good attorney, even in the background advising you, is better than just thinking you know the truth and trying to present that in a family court. So my second lawyer always told me, it's not it's not the truth that wins in family court. You could be telling a lie and win, and you could be telling the truth and lose. So it does come down to strategy. And if you don't want to make a bad situation worse, I say read some of my survivor wisdom. See how I went from having an enemy to now cooperation, and the same amount of actually more in child support. So I learned, what matters to the narcissist matters to this whole case, even if I wasn't with him, even if I didn't like it, even if it was unfair. This is who I was dealing with. This is who we had to work around. And it's amazing what nonviolent communication can do. And I had to learn to get the support. So this is just a basic idea of, I have more than 20 strategies in my newest book. This documentation strategy can be helpful. There's all kinds of advice out there to document everything. I tried that and it drove me crazy, because all I was doing was looking at the narcissist and the neglect of our child, which really made me emotional. Instead, I was like, I want to create leverage. I want it to be not emotional, just factual. And I want it to help in either the court or negotiations later. And survive the narcissist, survive the sociopath, which is my 3rd book. Here's the Get a Good Attorney Guide with the 20-question interview worksheet. I say read through this if you don't know anything about lawyers. If you've only had one lawyer, read through it, look at the questions. You can always consult with another attorney on your case and get a second opinion or a third opinion. And that is our rights and our power. I have, how to prepare for attorney. There's a 20 plus wants list that I have as a guide, and that led me mentally, and that led my lawyer. That simplified my case out of like, this is what he's doing to me now, how to make it stop, instead of this is what I want. I didn't know what I wanted. The narcissist was always asking for more things and wanted more and more and more. never happy, never satisfied. I had to start wanting things, which actually pushed back some of the advances of the narcissist. So we have a right as the parents, as the mothers, to want things for our children, and narcissists don't usually want to give anything. So this becomes leverage, having the 20 wants list. And if you want to negotiate with a narcissist or have the chance of negotiating, framing this, positioning this list in a certain way as like coming from the lawyer or something. I teach that in the follow-up bonus guide. So read about my story from 1 to 7. That 20 wants list can gain you instant leverage, keep you on track, keep your lawyer on track, can reduce your legal fees because you're not bringing your emotional stuff to your lawyer. You're just bringing what motions you'd want filed or what points you want said, and a very simple list. Lists are very, very effective tool. I have it for a few things. Skillful-Means means getting strategic and understanding who you're dealing with. Instead of treating the narcissist like the father you want him to be, you treat him as the father he is and understand that he's probably angry if you left him, probably seeking revenge. We don't want to anger someone abusive who's got unsupervised time with children. And mistakenly, I've made these mistakes. Us moms fight toe to toe with the narcissist in text message, on phone, by, the co-parenting app. All of that upset that the narcissist has, being called out, being micromanaged, or feeling controlled, can come down on our children when we're not there to protect them or see what's happening. So Skillful-Means is a different approach. It's a more peaceful path. It can lead to negotiations, not always. That what worked for me may not work for you. So I say take some of this, take this idea, let it like plant in your mind that there might be a way to not only survive this, but allow the child to thrive, which should be our ultimate goal, not exposing, defeating, beating, destroying the narcissist. They are who they are, and we are concerned about our children, and we need to be concerned about us and not so much policing a narcissist. Maybe that would become something later that could be helpful for the community at large, but when you have a young, vulnerable child depending on you, I don't say poke the beast with a stick who's been, if they're sleeping, leave them alone. Find another way. I say navigate around the narcissism. That's very big distinction between navigating around the narcissist, because if the family court order says, or the parenting agreement says you've got to ask them, you don't go around them, you follow the court order, unless your lawyer has said not to, because there's like CPS involved or something. This is why legal guidance and your lawyer's strategy has to be number one. And if you don't know your strategy from the lawyer, you may have to ask your lawyer what's the strategy. But if you don't have a list of wants, you might have to start there. So welcome to my work. Come to my website. Co-parenting with a narcissist can be a very challenging thing, to say the least. It can be done. I have that today, but it took a lot to get here. My website is gracewolson.com. Like and subscribe this video or this podcast on Spotify. You can learn, heal, and grow through this. You don't have to just go through it. And you can come out smarter and stronger than before. So keep being a great mom. I'll see you in the next video or on the next podcast. Keep in mind this 3 Super S approach, where you're getting support, you're getting your sanity, and you're getting strategic. That is where our mindset needs to be. I do have a free Substack newsletter, Navigate Around and Neutralize the Narcissist. You're welcome to join that for free, and I have regular posts. This is my disclaimer. You can pause this, take what's helpful, leave the rest. See you in the next video.